Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I'm excited to share with you a first look at the 1st Cavalry Division. This is a new American division available in the Magdeburg Counterstrike Nemesis DLC, which is out right now. Yep, that's right, you can get your hands on it immediately. And today I'm going to go through all of the units and we'll put together a quick deck. Just a note, this weekend, just like every weekend, WARNO on Sunday at 8 PM on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/VulcanHDGaming and on my YouTube channel VulcanHDGaming Live if you prefer to watch it there. I'm going to be playing both of these two new divisions in 3v3 44s and 10v10s, so come along, it'll be good fun. But today we are of course going to be starting with the M992A2 supply, which is a new supply vehicle. It's based on the hull of like an M109, I guess. With 1000 supply, it does have armor, 65 km/h off-road, 75 km/h on-road, actually pretty good for such a large armored vehicle, and could be useful for getting supply to the front line, as it will be a bit more resilient than your normal M35 trucks like these. So these are 8 on a card, 30 points, you get 750 supply. There's actually 3 cards available of those. Then we have M577 CPC, your standard armored box as a commander for the Americans. 50 km/h off-road is a little bit slow. It is cheap, but you only get 2 on a card, so that kind of sucks. I wish you got 3 on a card of those, they'd be a lot more useful. Then the M2 Bradley CP, which is technically a new Bradley. As you can see, it's only available in the 1st Cavalry Division. 95 points, 2 on a card. It comes with the Bushmaster and an ITO, so you don't get the TOW 2 like you would with an upgraded Bradley. So yeah, the 3 front, 3 sides, pretty good for a command vehicle. Probably not going to be using that ITO very often anyway. 55 km/h off-road, it's only 5 km/h faster than the M577, and 75 km/h on-road. Then we have the Black Hawk supply, 45 points, 6 on a card, 1000 supply per helicopter. Then we have the Stolly, which is the first of the British units. This division does have quite a few British units in it, so we'll be going through those. But this is 50 points, 4 on a card, 1,500 supply, 60 km/h off-road, 90 km/h on-road. And it is amphibious, which is incredibly niche for a supply vehicle, but worth noting. Then we have the Warrior Command, which is also available in the 1st. This is 70 points, 3 front, 3 side armor, does have the Radon and the machine gun, doesn't have a Milan on it, but it is faster than both of the other armored command options at 70 km/h off-road and 80 km/h on-road, so that's potentially quite nice because you don't really need the HGM from the M2 Bradley anyway. Then we got the Black Hawk Commander. Helicopter command is still not great in this game. It's really useful for kind of back capping, I guess, like capturing the sectors on the backside. If there's also a sector that maybe goes from like one side of a mountain to another, then maybe you can sit it on your side and it won't get killed. But they're so obvious that they do get taken out relatively quickly quite often. Then we have the field supply point if you need one. Alright, moving on to infantry, we have the M60, which is a machine gun. Machine guns and grenade launchers will fall out of the meta a little bit. I mean, grenade launchers got a bit of a nerf this patch. I think MG's got a little bit of a nerf last patch, so they're going to be less important. But in this division, there's one thing to really note that you might have already noticed, is they only have 5 activation slots in the infantry tab, which is really rough. So you're not going to be able to really fit in these sort of cheaper MG options because you're going to be leaving a lot of quality on the table. Let's move on. We have the Cavalry Troopers. So these on their own, 4 strength squad, law and a smoke grenade. I really like it when the leaders have smoke grenades, so that's a nice thing. But it's low strength for a leader, infantry. However, they do have some nice options on transports. We got the Humvee, we got the M2 Bradley, which is the older one with the 3 front, 3 side and an ITO, but they do have access to the newer one, which is the M2A2 Bradley IFV with the TOW2A, which has a tandem anti-tank missile with 25 penetration. This thing is nasty against enemy tanks. With 5 front armor, that is a very tanky beast. Really, really useful. Then we have the Cav Troopers, the standard Cav Troopers. So these do get the mechanized trait, or like IFV infantry trait more specifically, which means they take less suppression when in combat near an infantry fighting vehicle, and the M2 Bradley here will have the same trait to make sure that that works for them. But yeah, this is a 6-man squad, 5 M16s and an M60 with the law for 30 points, not too bad. But the transport here, yeah, relatively mediocre. It's like the worst M2. Now we have the Cav Troopers AT4, and these guys are getting a bit of an upgrade. So 6-man squad still, but you're paying an extra 5 points for an AT4 over the M72, which is a really nice upgrade. And then you also have access to the M2A2 Brat, which is an even more upgraded M2 Bradley. It has the explosive reactive armor, so you have 11 HP instead of 10, and you've also got 6 front armor instead of 5, if we look at this M2A2 here, for example. So yeah, really nice option here, and that's going to be about 135 points to bring in. It's quite an expensive option, but in 3v3s and 4v4s, it's probably one of your best options in this tab. And then we have the Cav Troopers with the Dragon, which is the Dragon 2, so it does have 18 penetration at 1,250 meter range, but their best transport is the M2 Bradley IFV, and I think the transports are going to be pretty important here in this tab to get the best value out of the infantry tab, although you will definitely want things that can fight at close range for you, so it's going to be a little bit of a mix. And moving on to the British, we have the Rifle Leader. So standard Rifle Leader with the Law and the Smoke Grenade, 50 points, can come in with the Warrior. This Warrior doesn't have any HGMs on it though, so not as nice. Then we've got the Gun Group, so the 2 L85s and the 2 L7A2s with the M72, and these can have Warrior Milans, so that's decent, but probably not going to really make much of a showing. It's kind of one of those units that you love to put in if you have like an extra slot, because you can really kind of spam down these with the Warrior Milans, but I don't know if you'd really get away with that in this deck, because you need like good infantry alongside them if you're going to do that. Like the Cav Trooper 84 with its AT is actually pretty useful to have, whereas like the M72 next to like 4-man squad is really not. So that's like the distinction that I'm making here. Then we have the Armoured Rifles, which also come with the Warrior Milan, but that's just a standard Milan again with 17 penetration, 3 front, 3 side armor, 70 km/h off-road, 80 km/h on-road. At least the Warriors are faster than the Bradleys, if you want to consider that. Then we got some Military Police. They do come with a Military Police Humvee as well, so that gives the Military Police trait, although there's probably not going to be much room for this in the Infantry tab. Then we have the Engineers. Now Engineers are going to be pretty important here because you have like a limited number of slots. You're going to want to be able to control the close range engagement in forests, otherwise a lot of your armors are going to struggle to get around. So Engineers are going to be pretty important, but this is just the leader. 11 strength, shock trait, doesn't have smoke, but yeah, good strength on the leader. Then we got the flash launchers, so 5 strength unit, 8 on a card, 35 points, have that flash launcher which leaves sort of incendiary on the ground that infantry cannot stay in unless they want to get burned to death. Then we got some Engineers with the M67, which is actually a pretty nice choice. The M67 recoilless can be fired at close range, so with the shock trait, this could be a pretty effective squad to have. Only the M35 as their transport though, and then we've got the standard Engineers, which is a 10-man squad with the satchel charge. But again, shock trait. It's going to be important for controlling close range. Then we've got a really interesting squad here, the AT group. They're available in the campaign, I believe, but first they've been added to a division in the game. They got double Law AT, which is a 20 penetration AT weapon with 750 meter range and the 55% accuracy. We've seen the weapon before, but having 2 of them in a squad is particularly nasty if you're going to catch out a tank in the side armor. Can be brought in with the Warrior. Then we got the Aircav Troopers, a pretty solid squad, which come in with a Black Hawk. Sort of useful to have the Black Hawk for 50 points because it's kind of something you can reuse. It's a reasonably fast transport. So one thing you can do with these, like say if you bring the Aircav Troopers at the start of the game to drop off at a particular location, you can bring the Black Hawks back to your spawn, unload your like engineers, for example, from their other transports, put them in the Black Hawk instead, sell the M35, and then use the Black Hawk. So that's one thing that's nice about having at least one unit with some sort of helicopter transport ability, because you can do the opposite as well. Like if there's a lot of enemy AA, you can still bring in the Aircav Troopers, you just unload them at the spawn, and then use an M35 instead to take them to the front line. There is that to consider. But yeah, interesting squad, 9-man squad. The M60s and M16s, they do also have security traits, so they get extra optics when they're stationary, which can be handy in some cases. And in terms of HGMs, we got the TOW 2 and the TOW 2A. So both have 25 penetration. The TOW 2A has the tandem, which means they do extra +1 penetration against explosive reactive armor equipped units. There you go. All right, moving on to the artillery tab. We got the self-propelled 81mm British mortar. There's the American mortar. This is a 107 though. Bit more firepower on these. And then we got the M109, which is your good sort of standard long-range artillery. But we also have the guided one. So the M102A2, it has the guided shells. So the way that this works in WARNO is if you have corrected shot on a unit using a Recon, then they're incredibly accurate. Like they're way more accurate. It's not like the shell turns mid-flight towards something. It's more just like you're gonna hit the mark extremely well. So if anything stationary, these are really deadly. And then there's M270 cluster. You actually get 2 of these, which is going to be nice for those 10v10 lovers. 6 penetration, 32 kilometer range. Yeah, gonna be able to dunk a lot of tanks with those. All right, moving on to the tank tab. We have, first of all, the M90 1A3 ITV, which is your TOW 2 launching M113 with the 25 penetration, 65% accuracy. These are okay. The big problem with them is their stealth. So they generally get spotted before they fire. If they have mediocre stealth, if they have good stealth, they get spotted after they fire. And that makes a massive difference for HGM units and their effectiveness in this game. Then we got the M728A1 CEV, which is nice because it has smoke. We got 12 front armor. You got that tasty 3.2 HE. So this is going to be an absolute monster for destroying enemy infantry. And with the amount of slots you've got, you're definitely bringing it. It's really, really nice to have. Then we got the M1 Abrams. So you like standard M1 Abrams as the command. So it's just like 40 points more than the standard variant. The M1 Abrams, it has 16 front armor, 7 side armor, 17 penetration, but it does have 2,275 meter range, which is really nice. It's also 65% accurate, which is really good for a 200-point tank. You're going to be able to really snipe things with this at a distance, which is great. But it is going to lose to the heavier Russian tanks. But we do have a solution for that in this deck, and that is the M1 mod, which comes at 17 front armor, 21 penetration at 2,275 meter range, same accuracy. But you can see here that the penetration difference is huge, and the front armor, the extra 1 front armor, does make quite a big difference, so that is something to bear in mind. Then we got the Challenger Mark II, which is sad. When I just see like Challenger compared to Abrams, I just kind of cry inside, to be honest. The accuracy on these is 60%, 2,275 meter range with 18 penetration, 18 front armor. They are relatively tanky, but yeah, I feel like this 60% accuracy is like so much worse than it should be, and it makes me sad every time. Anyway, moving on, we have the Recon tab. So interesting unit here. We have the ANMLQ334 TAC Jam. So this is a jamming unit, a ground-based jamming unit with Recon. It's also amphibious. So jamming basically downgrades the optics of enemy recon that's using a radar. So yeah, like GSR, there are like radar specific vehicle recon, and it prevents GSR. It also stops artillery correction, and there aren't many units like on the Russian side that really benefit massively from artillery correction, so it's not like such a big deal, but it could be an interesting unit to mess around with in like 10v10s. I feel like in 10v10 this could make a massive difference actually, now I think about it. Because there aren't actually that many jamming units on the American side that I can think of that are used very often, because like on the Russian side, for example, they had like the Mi-8s with the jamming on them, but they're like also recon helicopters, so they're useful. In this case, it's kind of recon plus jamming, but it's on the ground, so it's not going to be as useful, but it's still interesting for 15 points. And then we've got cheap 15-point recon, the Fist V. We've got the Scouts, so these are British Scouts. Rover, Spartan. Spartan also has some good optics, and then the Lynx there is also an option. We've got the Scorpion and the Scimitar as an option. The penetration on these is really lacking. Accuracy is absolutely garbage. Then we got like the Scimitar, which is okay because it has the Radan for 55 points. It's also got a decent amount of off-road speed, so you can use it to flank quite well. We've got Colt, which is your GSR American unit. So they have very good optics anyway, but they also have GSR, which will push that to exceptional optics. So kind of useful to have about. Also, the fact they have like recon Humvees with them, especially like with grenade launchers and stuff, is quite kind of nice. Then we got Cavalry Scouts. So they got Dragon 2, 45 points. Really kind of annoying recon unit for the enemy, because they got the exceptional stealth, they got very good optics, and they have a Dragon 2 to reach out and like hit stuff. So this is going to be actually a kind of nice unit. Again, they can be brought in with recon Humvees. They could also be brought in with a Black Hawk. And then we have the Aero Scouts, which is a 10-man squad with a M72 with shock trait as well. So these are again pretty good for 65 points. It's a decent infantry unit to sort of supplement your infantry tab where you're going to be lacking. And then we got some helicopters. So OH-58 Scout, which does have the minigun on the side, 45 points. Minigun's kind of trashed, so yeah, nothing really to write home about. But Kiowa at least gets exceptional optics. It gets some rockets. This could be a useful aircraft. It's only got 4 health though. That's the one thing that really lets these down, is that they get taken out of the sky pretty easily. We do have the quick fix here, the EH-60A, which is a Black Hawk, which has the jammer on it. So that's really cool. It's also got SIGINT. So, the interesting thing about this, like, this is a really cool helicopter. This is what I was talking about with the Russians, where like you have a helicopter that's a recon helicopter, but it also has extra traits. So that's kind of going to make this thing maybe a bit redundant, because you're almost always going to be taking this helicopter instead. Then we got M3 Bradley Recon, which is the older Bradley with the ITO, and then there's the M3 ETAS here as well, which only has 2 ITOs, I guess because this is taking up space. But basically, it has exceptional optics, which is actually pretty nice. Like an autocannon unit with exceptional optics is always great. I think of something like the Zvatava. Like, even though it's got low ammunition on its ITOs, it's still going to be super useful. You only need one of those to hit the side armor. It's still going to do a lot of damage. All right, AA tab. We got the Javelin LML, which has the Rovers and the Bedfords. So this is reasonable AA. The trouble with this thing is it can't go in buildings. Then we got the Stinger. This is a pretty decent AA weapon for a manpad, 55 accuracy, 2,650 meter range. We've also got the M2 Bradley BSV. Now this thing has pretty good range on its auto cannon. Just check that compared to the normal one. Yeah, it's actually got a little bit of extended range on its auto cannon, which is interesting. And then we got the Ito. So 3 front, 3 side armor. I mean, a little bit of a Shorad Bradley, I guess. Only 2 Ito ammo again, but does have smoke, so that's kind of nice. Alright, PVADs, 70 points. It's alright. It can kind of shred helicopters these days. It's also useful for kind of finishing off aircraft that are low health if they get hit by a couple of like other missiles. Then we got the Avenger, which is pretty good. It has its fast firing stingers with the extra accuracy there as well. It's also perfectly accurate on the move. So a really cool system, very fast, but relatively pricey. And then there's the tracked rapier, and this is actually your best option for long range AA, so it kind of sucks. Yeah. But at least it's like manual guidance, so it's not going to get hit by radar, or like seed, sorry. So that's okay. But yeah, the tracked rapier kind of sucks because of the guidance. Like as soon as the enemy goes out of range, it like lose track of them. So it's kind of rough. Anyway, moving on. Helicopters. Very small tab. AH-1F Tow Cobra with the Ito. And then the AH-64 Apache with the Hellfires and the Hydras there as well. Then we have the Air tab. So first of all, the Pave Tiger, which is a new electronic warfare drone. So electronic warfare reduces enemy radar air defense by 20%, like accuracy. And you can also spot radar AA with this thing. So it's kind of interesting in that regard. It's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be useful as a tool in this division, because you don't really have like seed. I guess you can like spot and then kill stuff with the F-16s maybe. But yeah, anyway, Phantom 2 is going to be your ASF. So this is a British aircraft with the Skyflash. Skyflash is 7,075 meter range, 6HE. You get 4 of them, so it's loaded out relatively well, and you got the AIM-9 once you get close as well. For 185 points, it's a decent priced aircraft with 20% ECM. Then we've got A-10, so there's a rocket A-10. You get those Hydra rockets, you get of course the Avenger and the 2 AIM-9s. The 20 points. The other thing about this is it's got armor. So you can see here, like normal aircraft don't have armor, but like the A-10 and the Su-25 do. And they got the extra armor, so they're going to be a bit able to survive like some hits. And then we got the A-10 with the AT, which is coming in with those 4 Maverick missiles. So yeah, it's going to be some sort of like weird thing going on here where you use the Pave Tiger to spot and kill radar AA with your other aircraft, or maybe even your artillery actually, because if you were to use like the Copperhead with Recon to then kill enemy AA that you spot with your drone, you can open up the airstrikes. So it's kind of an interesting thought, but alas, yeah. This is going to be really nasty against enemy tanks regardless. Then we got F-16C cluster with 2 Rockeyes, so kind of limited on the payload. I'd love to see 4 on this thing. I don't know why it's only 2 for 225 points. Seems a bit lackluster. Then we've got the F-16HE, which comes with 6 227 kilogram bombs. That's a bit better of a payload for killing like infantry and lighter targets, but not really going to do much against armor. And then we've got the laser guided bombs, so these are definitely going to be popping armor. You get 2 GBU-12s. They have pretty much perfect accuracy if they have line of sight. So, yeah, interesting options. Okay, let's go ahead and throw together a quick deck. So I'm kind of tempted to use this and then some stollies, and we'll bring in the warrior as our command with a field supply point. We might actually have to double up the command here in the Logi tab, unless we can. Well, no, we've got plenty of room in the tank tab. I was going to say, we're not going to use much here. Like, I'm going to bring both of these with the M2A2 Brat, and then we're going to bring maybe some TOW 2s. Might as well just do TOW 2A, and then we'll do like engineers. I think that's the way that I'm going to do it. I could also bring in the aircraft troopers instead of the TOW 2, because we're going to have a lot of TOWs on the Bradleys anyway. I think that's maybe a better choice. I think upbetting these is okay. These, though, I don't think I'm going to upbet. So we have that availability. I will definitely bring in the copperheads. Might be worth bringing in a card of mortars. What's the range on those? Yeah, they're both the same, so that's fine. Because we're just bringing them for smoke, basically, and then maybe some cluster artillery. For the tank tab, we're definitely bringing in the M728CV, and we'll be bringing in probably, I mean, the challenge leader having 18 front armor is kind of important because it's going to die much less to aircraft, but yeah, we kind of just need the extra leaders anyway. We'll definitely bring in both of those upgraded M1s. I don't know if I can really afford to upgrade them. We could definitely bring in some Abrams at like max vet. That will be fine. Maybe just another card like that. So we have plenty of leaders. Okay, and then I'm thinking exceptional optics, definitely Black Hawk. With the extra traits, we'll do cavalry scouts and aero scouts. We'll keep both of these in Humvees. Those can have grenade launch Humvees. Do I want to try this thing? I'm so tempted. So tempted. I could literally bring them in and then spread them out for the entire team in every turn. That'd be hilarious. Stinger with the new M2 Bradley, please and thank you. We'll bring in one cheap and one expensive. And then we'll need an Avenger, Evads, Track Rapier. Okay. Helicopter. Oh, we've already used our activation points. Wow, okay. Well, that's not great. Okay, let's dump that. What else can we dump here as we come along? Because the infantry tab is pretty big. I mean, maybe we just don't bring those engineers to save 3 points. Is that a mistake? Maybe drop the M270 cluster as well. We definitely bring in Apaches. Maybe some TOW Cobras as well. But I really want to flesh out this air tab. We'll do AA. We definitely want the F-16, and then maybe I just do 2 F-16s. We just have it like this. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's a very strange deck setup, I will tell you that much, and it's certainly going to need a little bit of adjustment, but we will leave it there for today. So let's have a quick look at how this looks as a whole. Let me just save that, and we'll have a look at the first cavalry. There you go. So you got a decent amount of good tanks. You've got a really interesting sort of situation regarding like spotting and then killing enemy radar AA, and utilizing your artillery to do that. Infantry is a little light, but you're also kind of reliant on your recon tab for that. I think it's going to be fun to mess around with, and I think in the 10v10 you'll be absolutely fine with this amount of infantry. In 1v1, maybe you want to stack the infantry tab a bit more. I don't know. Not too familiar with 1v1 and how this deck will last there. Regardless, that is it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.